Hi everyone, welcome to your current affairs class. This is Sonali Mehra, faculty at Mentora IAS, and on behalf of Mentora IAS, I welcome you all to this discussion class. This is a mains discussion class today. We will be taking up one topic. The topic will be मैरिज एज अ सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन. इस पर आज हम बात करने वाले हैं. ये जो टॉपिक है मैरिज एज अ सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन, इसके अराउंड बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस यूपीएससी पूछती आई है और पूछ भी रही है. Also, one more very important trend that we are observing, that time and again in newspaper, articles on marriage or marriage as a social institution are coming. Therefore, it is very important to understand this very topic. और इसको डेप्थ में अंडरस्टैंड करना बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डू इन टुडेज क्लास, वी आर गोइंग टू डाइव डीप इनटू द यू कैन से एनालिटिकल पार्ट ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक to understand what all dimension one need to cover while reading any article around it. Okay, so let us first of all have a look at this previous year question that UPSC had already asked. So in the year 2023, this particular question was asked by UPSC. अब ये जो क्वेश्चन है ये कह रहा है that do you think that marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? Now, in order to answer this question, one need to first of all decode this question. अगर हम इस क्वेश्चन को डिकोड करते हैं, मीनिंग इसके छोटे छोटे पार्ट्स करते हैं, देन ओनली वी विल बी एबल टू सी दैट व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज बीइंग आस्क्ड इन दिस क्वेश्चन. क्या पूछा गया है इस सवाल में. लेट अस ब्रेक डाउन दिस क्वेश्चन एंड वंस वी आर डन डिकोडिंग द क्वेश्चन, देन यू विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट व्हाट टॉपिक वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस टुडे. नाउ दैट टॉपिक इज वेरी वेरी क्लोज टू दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन. So once we are done with this topic in today's class, you will be able to easily write a good answer on this particular question. क्वेश्चन में बोला गया था that do you think that marriage as a sacrament. तो सबसे पहले तो आपको ये अंडरस्टैंड करना है what is the concept. I'm writing all the dimensions here, okay, related to this question. Marriage, first of all you need to understand marriage as a social institution. तो मैंने यहाँ पे लिख दिया है उसको as a social institution. This is the first thing that you need to understand. Okay, then you need to understand that how it has been considered as a sacrament, meaning a kind of bond which is unbreakable, a very pious one and very unbreakable one. It is going to be there for eternity and all. So what is the concept behind marriage? Concept behind marriage, correct? ये आपको मालूम होना चाहिए. और ये हम बात कर रहे हैं इंडियन सोसाइटी के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में. बेसिकली हम यहाँ पर बेसिस ऑफ मैरिज इन इंडियन सोसाइटी की बात करते हैं. Once you understand these two things, then you need to look at the other part of this question which talks about losing its value in the modern time. Definitely the question talks about how the marriage institution has been transforming or changing. Now you have to write, you have to give your opinion कि do you really think that it is basically losing that very sense of eternity kind of relationship or eternity kind of bond? So you have to write about that. So यहाँ पर when you see modern India, we are basically talking about impact of, I'm simply writing modernity or modernization, let us say modernization. What I mean by modernization is you have to write down or keep in mind the impact of globalization, क्योंकि globalization की वजह से what has happened, lot of changes in terms of economic changes had happened and are taking place. Because of its social and cultural aspect around us are also changing, that we need to say. And also how technology has a great role to play in changing our daily lives. Because of its social and cultural, again, understanding around us is constantly evolving. Once you understand that you need to write about these three aspects in order to write this answer, then it becomes very, very easy to have your own opinion about this particular question or this very idea of marriage institution. So today what we are going to do, we will be talking about these three areas और इन तीन areas को हम डेप्थ में डिस्कस करके एनालाइज करके अच्छे से समझेंगे किस तरीके से ये ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन हो रहा है और चैलेंजेस क्या क्या भी आ रहे हैं. सो आई होप एवरीवन इज क्लियर टिल दिस पॉइंट. Now let us begin with that topic. What is the topic that we are going to talk about today? Marriage, a social institution, changing nature and evolving pattern. तो पहले तो हम marriage as a social institution understand करेंगे. क्या basis रहे? What were the basis in those early times for marriage across the world also and Indian society? Then what are the recent changes and why they are taking place? Talking about the challenges around them also. This is how we are going to basically complete our discussion for this class. Alright, so now let us begin our topic. The first thing one need to understand is around this topic is the dimension. कितने dimensions हैं जो आपको cover करने हैं? The first dimension that you need to cover around this very topic of marriage as a social institution is what is the meaning of institution? What is the meaning of institution, especially in terms of sociology? You're getting it? Then why marriage and how marriage is being called as an institution? Then this is the second thing we need to talk about. After that, we will be talking about the historic, you can say, evolution of marriage as a concept. Here we will be talking about few perspective, sociological perspective, anthropogenic perspective on the earliest marriages. Basically, we will be trying to understand what are the bases of marriage, or what were the bases of marriage in those early societies, based upon which today also we are observing this institution in our society. Then we will be talking about the changes, the recent changes that we are observing here, right? Changes because of globalization, changes because of globalization, and changes because of technology. So what are those changes basically? Okay, so these are the two things that we will be talking about. Then when you understand the changes in a good way, in a good manner, then only you will be able to understand the challenges जो अभी हमें देखने को मिल रहे हैं surrounding this very topic. This was exactly what was asked in that question. So we will be talking about all these things here. तो देखा जाए तो हम तीन areas पर अभी डिस्कस करेंगे. दिस इज द फर्स्ट वन, दिस इज द सेकेंड वन, एंड दिस इज द थर्ड वन. Okay, now let us start our discussion with the very first one, that what exactly is institution, or what exactly is the meaning of institution in sociology. Talking about the institution or definition of institution in general, we have two very easy ways to understand the meaning of the term institution. So in sociology, institution is basically a set of norms. You can simply understand it in this way. This box is representing that particular system. So institution is basically this system of norms. Norms, beliefs, ideas, shared common values, which are there to achieve some, or you can say achieve the basic need of society. Basic need of society is to maintain the continuity in the society. Second, another way of understanding institution is to basically giving the, you can say, sanction to certain patterns which are coming up when humans are interacting. So when humans are interacting, we are observing certain patterns, that how they are interacting, how the ideas are being shared, what are the different perspectives they are coming up with. These patterns, when given sanction, these patterns, when given sanctions, you will start to see certain rules are also started to build around them. Basically, we are talking about codification around them. So there is then gradually codification will be coming up. Basically, what we are saying, that how humans are interacting with each other, that is resulting into some form of a formal way, basically a formal way of how people will be exchanging their ideas, how they will be coming together, how the procreation will be coming, all of these things, and gradually with time we start to see some sort of codification being created around it. Now all this set of rules, shared beliefs, ideas around this very system or this very pattern of, you can say, interaction is simply called as institution. तो जब भी सिंपलेस्ट फॉर्म में बोला जाए, अर्ली सोसाइटीज़ की तरीके से आप अंडरस्टैंड कीजिए, जब भी लोग मिलेंगे आपस में विचार बदलेंगे, मतलब आइडियाज चेंज करेंगे, हाउ दे सी द वर्ल्ड, हाउ दे सी दिस क्रिएशन एंड ऑल, उसी के थॉट्स को, उसी के जो हमारा आइडिया है उसी को धीरे धीरे कोडिफाई किया जाएगा, शेयर्ड आइडियाज, बिलीव्स, नॉर्म्स बनाए जाएंगे, कल्चर डेवलप किया जाएगा एंड ग्रेजुअली हम देखते हैं वहाँ से इंस्टीट्यूशन का बर्थ होता है. नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट मैरिज एज एन इंस्टीट्यूशन, How can we define marriage as an institution? अब हम उसको इस फॉर्म में लिख सकते हैं, that when we talk about marriage as an institution, so this is basically a system which gives you that initial, you can say, stability to form your family. Family is the building block of society. You're getting that? Basic need of society. So it initiates this marriage as an institution. This basically initiates family life. ये एक family life को initiate करता है of man and a woman. And it also provides stability. It also provides the stability and the very idea of procreation. Now both these things, think about it, both these things are very, very important for any society to continue itself. That is where we are seeing that marriage as an institution being practiced across the world in different societies, among different mainstream societies, tribal societies, but everyone is going to have their own goal, objective, idea around it. So this is the basic understanding of marriage as an institution, and because it has been observed across the world, so we can simply say that marriage or the form of marriage, how you are going to have that particular union, form of marriage, nature of marriage, and also aim of marriage basically varies society to society. So society or societal variation in the very concept of marriage, and also with the time or over a period of time, it simply starts to grow. It is simply evolving. Understand that part. This is the basis of understanding this entire topic. This is the main idea that we have been observing behind marriage as an important social institution, which is not constant, which is basically evolving with the time. Today what we are seeing, especially in the context of Indian society, the marriage institution, that is also evolving. So we are basically in that transition zone from the earlier set or earlier notion of marriage as an institution to what we are very soon going to see in the near future, how it is going to be. But now, right now, we are in that transition phase. Why we are in that transition phase, I will be coming back to that very, very soon. यहाँ तक सबको समझ में आ जाना चाहिए that this is the basis of it. Now, let's move towards the theoretical framework behind, or you can say around the very idea of marriage of institution. कैसे इस पूरे आइडिया ऑफ मैरिज को बनाएगा. सो देयर हैव बीन लॉट ऑफ स्टडीज, बहुत सारी स्टडीज की गई. डिफरेंट सोशियोलॉजिस्ट, एंथ्रोपोलॉजिस्ट आर बेसिकली वर्किंग, और सबसे एंशिएंट मैरिजेस जो हुई हैं, फ्रॉम दोज मैरिजेस, I mean, and all the way to the present marriages that we are seeing across the world, they are observing different patterns in these marriages. The need of a marriage, you can say rules or norms making the very base of marriage. So they have been observing all of this. The first perspective, so different perspectives have been come up. पहला जो perspective है around the very idea of marriage institution is a sociological perspective. सोशियोलॉजिकल पर्सपेक्टिव क्या बताता है, या फिर ये सारी की सारी स्टडीज आपको बता के रही, मैं यहाँ पे शॉर्ट में लिख देती हूँ, ये आपको बताती हैं कि ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम मैरिज को जब स्टडी किया गया है, मैरिज के इंस्टीट्यूशन को जब स्टडी किया गया है, उसकी स्टडी से व्हाट are we understanding? Study of different marriages across different parts of the world, and therefore we are getting or coming to this very perspective. ये हमारे पास एक तरीके से conclusion कह लीजिए कि different way of looking at this institution. The first one is the sociological perspective. Now, sociological perspective says that the very basis or the need of marriage, we can say the need of marriage, is number one, procreation. Procreation के लिए most of the societies are making marriage very, very important for the new generation. Second, it is also very important to therefore work with this very idea of division of labor. किसके बीच में? Among different genders. Among different genders. तो बेसिकली सोशियोलॉजिकल पर्सपेक्टिव ये कहता है कि जब आप मैरिज एज ए इंस्टीट्यूशन को देखते हो, इसके दो रीजंस हैं कि मैरिज एज इंस्टीट्यूशन क्यों बनाया गया. पहला, प्रोक्रिएशन के लिए, टू हैव चिल्ड्रन, टू हैव दिस फैमिली गोइंग ऑन. Family, if it is going on, this is, as I have told you, it's the basic building block of society. Society will definitely be keep on going. पहली चीज. दूसरा, डिविजन ऑफ लेबर. Division of labor. किसके बीच में? Gender. Now, gender is basically a sociology का term. It's a sociology term, which means when we are saying gender, certain roles and responsibilities are already assigned. Responsibilities are already assigned to man and women. Okay. Second is anthropogenic perspective. Now, anthropogenic perspective says that marriage was there so that a union created by a man and women, union created by the man and women requires some sort of social acceptance or sanction. And this sanction, in most of the cases or most of the society, comes from the religious belief. That means in most of the societies, you will find that marriage, when is going to take place, it has its roots connecting with the very idea of religion. You talk about any religion, you talk about Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, any religion, every religion has their different way of, connecting with the very idea of marriage. So it talks about it. So we need a particular sanction. Marxist perspective focuses basically on the conflict, the very conflict that has been coming up. तो इनका कहना है कि marriage as a union में you will start to see lot of conflicts coming up. These conflicts are because of the gender roles that we are seeing. So when one gender is dominating the other, or in simple words, if we say not enough space is given to the other gender, that is where we start to see a lot of issues and problems. Now, who is deciding the role? Who is making the responsibility? So society to society that varies. Be it a patriarchal society, a matrilineal society, whatever is the society, nature of society, based upon that you will start to see different sort of conflicts started to enter into the union itself. Then next we have is the feminist perspective. Feminist perspective talks about how the institution of marriage is simply suppressing the women, or how women are not able to, you can say, work equally or to basically balance their life equally like that of men. So from perspective point of view, what we are seeing, that marriage has always been oppressive for women, or they are suppressing women, they are subjugating women. So basically the role of women in a marriage, here is basically focused on. ठीक है, यहाँ से ये समझ में आता है. Then there is another perspective, and that is non-Brahmanical perspective, which basically was put forward by Ramaswamy Periyar, and he gave this very idea of self-respect marriage. where, in simple words, if we have to put it, a sort of marriage where caste bias is not going to define the union of two. So basically, if you are respecting the other person as who they are, then only you are going to get into this union. These are different perspectives. What these different perspectives are telling us, that around the world, what are the different bases on which marriage has been done or this institution has been created. Now let us take out the major points out of it, because those major points or those major findings are going to help us understand that in Indian society also, what are the different bases on which marriage has been basically taking place. The first one that we are seeing here, so the first one that we are seeing here is procreation and division of labor. So here also, if you see, this is the first basis. Let me take this different color. Yes, so this is the first one. In Indian society also, division of labor, meaning role of male and female, role of female, this has been defined and detailed, right? Desire for a son, we have already noticing it in the Vedic text itself. Rig Vedic text, so in the Rig Vedic text itself, what we see, in a lot of hymns, there is this demand for a son. We are observing the same pattern in Indian society as well, in the Indian context as well. Second is, from this perspective, we are getting marriage as a sanction. So marriage requires a sanction, this union requires a sanction on religious basis. Yes, in India also, other basis or other, you can say, foundation on which marriage as an institution has been sustaining is the religion itself. The religion itself, or the religious ideas itself. Therefore, if you see in Indian society also, people are preferring to get married into their own religion or maybe sometime in their own castes only. Always we have few exceptions, right? But more or less, if you see, the dominating aspect is this. The third very important thing that we are seeing in India also, yes, in conflicting role of different or two people that we are seeing. Then in Indian society also, we are seeing that when you talk about role of women, so the role of women has been defined in different texts since the ancient time, that how an ideal woman, ideal wife should be living, that has been evolving and changing all the way in 19th century, 20th century. And then in the present times, if we see in the 21st century, if we see, this has been simply evolving, around which we are seeing the marriage institution or this union has basically been transforming. So all in all, if you see, and obviously caste basis, so all in all, if you see, in Indian society, okay, let me write it here, then I will explain this to you. So in Indian society, there are two broader bases on which marriages have been concluded. First is the caste and second is the religion. These are the two broader categories. Now let us quickly talk about different forms of marriages in India and also certain exceptions. So the popular form, if you see in India, we have is monogamy. Monogamy, where in a union there will be one husband and one wife at one point of time, right? Then, and this is the dominating mode right now. We have different other marriages like polyandry. Polyandry was recently in news. So in Hatti community of Himachal Pradesh, that was in news because of the practice of polyandry. Polygamy, another form. Polygamy, another form. Then endogamy and exogamy, basically, and exogamy. So meaning either you are getting married in a or you are getting into the union in a same group or in some different group. But what is the dominating mode of or form of marriage that we see in India? That is monogamy. This is what we are observing in India. Now there are a lot of exceptions also, as we have discussed. Lot of exceptions also. So marriages like And this is not something which we are only seeing in the contemporary times. Since the ancient times, these have been practiced in the Indian subcontinent. Exceptions were also there in the ancient time. For example, the practice of Anulom and Pratilom. So Pratilom is a kind of marriage where women or a female coming from high caste is going to marry a male of lower caste, and Anulom is basically the reverse of it. We have been observing this in contemporary times also. We are seeing lot of intercaste marriages taking place, right? We have the earliest mention of Anulom and Pratilom marriages from our ancient text, that is Chandogya Upanishad, and the other one is Manusmriti. So from Upanishad and Manusmriti, so earliest evidence. Okay, then we have another you can say exception, that is live-in relations. Live-in relations that we are seeing in modern times also. Live-in relations that we are seeing in modern times. But actually, if you see, this is a term or a modern term right now we are using, but in ancient times also, Gandharva Vivaha or marriage was already in practice. And the earliest evidence comes from Manusmriti and also Dharma Shastra. I mean, there were such practices back then in those ancient times also. Today we are seeing such marriages only with the different names, right? So these are the popular forms, and there are certain exceptions that we are seeing in the contemporary times also. So this is intercaste marriage, or sometimes interfaith marriages, right? Interfaith marriages. So these are also being practiced. But what we are seeing here, that Gandharva Vivaha, or whether it is Anulom or Pratilom sort of marriage, these marriages were also there in the ancient times. So we have the earliest evidence from different Upanishads or different Manusmriti or Dharma Shastra as well. So from this entire discussion, one need to understand that whatever practices we are seeing around us has not just been created now. These were in practice since the time. Obviously, the sense in which or the way in which they are being practiced today is changing, because we have already discussed that marriage as an institution is always growing and changing, transitioning. Sometimes it's in the transition stage, or sometimes it's getting that advanced or that stable stage. So these were the practices basically. Now let us talk about the new dimension of the study on marriages. So post LPG reform, or you can say post globalization, we are observing a new trend coming up now, especially in around this institution of marriage. तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन के बाद से हम देख रहे हैं कि एक नया ट्रेंड हमें देखने को मिल रहा है. What globalization has done gradually ये हुआ है, it has brought lot of economic changes individual level पर भी, and as a country if we also see, which has resulted into lot of social and cultural impacts or changes. For example, you can say long working hours in corporate job or whatever job you are in, night shifts, right? Sometimes not so cooperative or open working space, and most importantly, no social life. Although we always are saying that humans are social beings, but we are having no time to socialize. So this is the major impact what we are observing now. This is the impact actually. This is the impact which has slowly changing the very landscape of you can say life in Indian you can say setting across the world also, but we are focusing on the very idea of marriage in Indian society. That is why what we are saying, ग्लोबलाइजेशन के बाद में लंबे दिन के समय पे यू आर वर्किंग फॉर अ लॉन्ग आवर्स, यू सम पीपल आर ऑल्सो हैविंग द नाइट शिफ्ट्स, वर्क स्पेस इज ऑल्सो यू आर नॉट एबल टू कोप अप विद दैट स्ट्रेस एंड ऑल्सो सोशल लाइफ के लिए यू डू नॉट हैव टाइम. बिकॉज ऑफ दिस थिंग ग्लोबलाइजेशन का इम्पैक्ट है. फर्दर इसका इम्पैक्ट व्हाट इज गोइंग टू हैपन, वी आर गोइंग टू सी द इम्पैक्ट इन आवर सोशल एंड कल्चरल स्पेस. योर आइडियाज अराउंड मैरिज आर गोइंग टू चेंज. नाउ दैट वी विल सी. This is therefore, or these are basically the emerging challenges. The first emerging challenge, because of all these things, because of these things only, what we are observing, okay, what we are observing transnational marriages, because people are moving from one place to another place, and the very idea of marriage is to give you stability at one place. But because of our jobs now, our profession now, we are not able to stabilize at one place only. You cannot be simply giving excuse to yourself that because I wanted to, in most of the cases, that because I wanted to not wanted to go to other place, therefore I'm settling down here and getting married. Once you have that qualification in your hand, that good or handsome salary that you are getting because of that, anyone would be wanting to get that particular job. So now the nature of marriage therefore is changing. That is what we are seeing. Second, lot of instance or cases of honor killing because of this technology thing coming into our lives. We are continuously seeing people getting married to different people coming from different continents altogether, different race, different, you can say, religion, different caste, because of which we are also seeing that this trend of honor killing is also going up. Also what we are seeing, changing conceptualization, meaning around marriage ideas are evolving. I will be getting back to this topic very soon. ये सबसे important part है. Now because of all these changes, what is happening? The very idea around marriage is also changing, and the criteria to choose your mate is also changing. You're looking for a good husband, you're looking for a good wife, that idea or that criteria is also changing. Another thing, kinship support shifts and technology's role. टेक्नोलॉजी का रोल का सबसे बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट जो एग्जाम्पल है, दैट इज ऑन लॉट ऑफ मैट्रिमोनियल साइट यू विल फाइंड यंग people in their mid-30s or 40s, they are looking for their ideal partners. Because of technology it is happening, and they are connecting people across the continents. So impact of globalization and technology, if you see, all of these changes are taking place very, very slowly, because of which the institution of marriage is changing gradually. Now let me take you to the impact part. So impact on institution of marriage. What is the impact? In simplest words, if I have to tell you, this picture basically gives us the very idea of the change. तो ये वाला जो मैंने आपको point बताया था, this very point, changing conceptualization around marriage, that around marriage our idea is basically changing. How is that changing? Now, from the traditional marriage value, we are moving towards the modern marriage value. This exactly was the word that UPSC had mentioned in that question. तो वो उसका question जो था वो traditional से modern marriage में shift के ऊपर ही था. What is the meaning of traditional marriage value now? Three very important things. First, the traditional marriage value include loyalty from the partner, duty, both of them are going to have their defined roles and duty, and the docility, right? Meaning you are going to easily see that yes, female are basically getting into their house chores and all, male are working outside the home to, they are working as a breadwinners and all. So basically roles are defined, roles were defined, and people were simply following that. Now these traditional marriage value have been changing to something like this, which we are calling as modern marriage value. What are the modern marriage value? Companionship, equality, and compatibility. How and why? Anyone who is planning to get married but is working for a long hours in a day. Let us say they are going to marry a person who is busy in their night shift. Now this imbalance in their life at personal level and at professional level is you can simply say going to have lot of friction later or after some point of time in their marriage life as well, and also in their professional life. So what people are looking for in a marriage now, ग्लोबलाइजेशन की वजह से हमने देखा ये सारे चेंजेस आए. कौन से चेंजेस? दीज चेंजेस, राइट, दीज चेंजेस, बिकॉज ऑफ विच now what people are looking for, we actually want a person coming from the same profession only, earning this much amount of money, should be educated also, right? In matrimonial you can say websites, you will be finding these criteria, people matching in order to find their partner. So that ways, if you see, now people are looking for a companionship, because we are observing that post LPG what we are seeing, more or less we are losing our social touch with the society. You now require a person who understands you. Then equality, women are also well educated, women are also taking the economic responsibility in the union, so they are also not now bowing down to the very idea of you being considered a second class in the union itself. And then compatibility, so companionship, equality and compatibility is what now we are looking for. These are the modern marriage values. So now let us one by one look at these changes. These were the changes that UPSC was asking in that question. So changing nature of marriage in contemporary India. First point is how it is changing. Aim of marriage. So earlier the base for marriage was the you can say religious roots. Like every religion has a defined way, that system which we are calling as institution, for bringing two people together. So religion is actually acting as a very, very strong base. Second is the caste norm also. Now what we are seeing, people wanting something different in the marriage, that is compatibility, that is companionship, that is equality. So this is the shift that we are seeing now. This is the modern times that we are seeing lot of shifts taking place, and these were the earlier, you can say, base around which marriages were basically done, or this entire relation was basically based. Next is the mate selection. Earlier, number one, parents basically were taking their this as a responsibility to find the partner for their child. Today also, if you see in the contemporary times also, if you see in India, majority of marriages are only arranged marriages, meaning their family members are only, parents are only finalizing the partners for their children. But we are also seeing a change or a trend changing here while choosing the mate. Number one, the change that we are seeing here is individuals now are looking for their own partners. Individuals are looking for their own partners now, number one, right? And what criteria they are they are looking at while choosing their mate? Education, your place of work, right? And also the economic stability that both the people are expecting out of it. Apart from these three things, earlier when parents were looking for it, the major ideas were caste, obviously religion, dowry also associated with the marriage, right? Age, obviously, family status. So we are not saying that now these are not considered. These are also considered, but now these things have taken the precedence, right? Next is age of marriage, because now we are seeing that age of marriage, legal age for marriage for girls in India is now 18 and for boys it is around 21. जिसके अराउंड अभी भी एक डिबेट चल रहा है that we need to take it to even higher for women, 21 कर देना चाहिए या 20 कर देना चाहिए. Well, whatever the case is, we are seeing that age of marriage को जैसे ही हम not upside but upward direction में push करते हैं, what is happening? We are observing that these late marriages, so first of all, child marriage is not happening in any way, right? And because you are now in that adult stage of your life where you are able to understand your body in a much better way. Especially women are getting opportunity to be educated. Education is giving them that expanded horizon where they are understanding how their body is functioning, what it needs to bear a child, their own you can say understanding about economic stability. That is very important, and that is now changing the very idea of marriage. So women are also going for jobs, professional jobs. Both people in a union are now stabilizing the marriage instead of simply getting married at a very, very early stage. Next is the economic stability. Economic stability has now taken the center stage. So earlier, if you see, we have been observing that economic stability was also important at that point of time, but what was more important was the social need to, you know, get your child married as soon as possible. But now both the people in a marriage are seeking economic stability. So keeping in mind the sort of inflation that we are facing, or changing technology, cost of education, cost of insurance, everything, if you see. So we are now considering the economic stability as the most important aspect while deciding our futures around the very idea of marriage. So these are the 4 major changes that we are seeing, and we are in no way saying that the earlier idea of marriage or the concept of marriage has been eroded. No, but we are simply transitioning to something new, because we have already discussed this, that the concept of marriage is always evolving, and it was evolving since the time, it is evolving because of these certain changes around technology and globalization, where we are able to connect with people altogether living in a different continent. Our horizons are expanding, our aspirations are going up, we are trying even more harder to get better things for our life. Women are getting educated, right? They also start to feel that we should be having decision making power when it comes to bearing a child or continuing their job, things like that. So these are the things. So in that particular question that we have just discussed in the very beginning, there the question was asking, do you feel? So actually the answer to that question should be that yes, obviously a lot of changes are taking place, but this is a transition what we are observing around the institution of marriage. Not exactly the institution of marriage is eroding. No, that is not happening at all. But what we are seeing, that people are now looking for some other thing in marriage: compatibility, equality, respect, economic stability, all of these things, right? Now there are certain challenges also around this institution of marriage, or this evolving, I would say, pattern around marriage. What are those challenges? First is the role of women. Now women being homemaker, they are taking up their jobs as they were doing since the time. Along with this, now they are also acting as professionals. So definitely a lot of workload has now come up on the shoulders of women. This is first thing that we need to acknowledge. And why we are talking about this thing? Because if we are seeing certain changes coming, these changes definitely coming in our society, it's important that we should be working towards the challenges that are coming along with it, so that with the time we all are, you can say, progressing, or we are doing progress in a right direction. तो पहली चीज तो ये है, yes, role या demand जो है from a woman that has now gone up. Second, we are also seeing shift from joint family system to nuclear family system. Right, we are also seeing that, because if you see, there is rural to urban shift in order to get better opportunities at life. So every educated women, men, they are moving to the urban areas to get that opportunity. They are getting married then and there only, and therefore we are seeing increasing trend of nuclear family. This is another thing that we are seeing. Third is specialized agencies which are evolving. What are these agencies? Like crash facility, then we have counselors, marriage counselors, and all. This is written here as well. These new specialized agencies are also coming up because of this changing landscape, right? So earlier, where the elders in the family, they are taking care of, you can say, the family matters of their children, कि बेटा और बहू में लड़ाई हो गया, या फिर आपकी फैमिली में कोई दो मैरिड लोगों के बीच में लड़ाई होगा, तो बेसिकली द एल्डर्स आर कमिंग एंड सॉर्टिंग द इश्यूज. अभी व्हाट वी आर सीइंग दैट मैरिटल काउंसलर्स आर देयर for child also, for the good psychology of the child, और अच्छा एक mental health बच्चे को मिले, for that also we are seeing counselings जो हैं वो sessions ले जा रहे हैं. These are certain. We are not anyway saying that these are wrong in any way, but these are the new things that we are seeing coming up. So we need to understand that these are the new challenges that are coming to us or to our society with these certain changes, definitely. And now it is the time that we need to talk about these things even more openly, right? So this is all for this class. We have discussed this particular topic of institution of marriage, where we started with the institution of marriage as a concept. Then we talked about the very idea of how marriage has been evolved to different perspectives. Then we get into the very idea of marriage in Indian society or in the context of Indian society. Then we have discussed a lot of challenges that are there, and the recent one that we are seeing that are getting evolved. So with this information in your hand, you will be able to write the question that we have discussed in the very beginning of the class. So before I sign off, it is very important for all of you to understand that when we are writing, or you are writing any answer in your mains examination, especially on Indian society, certain vocabulary is expected out of you. You can follow any basic books of sociology, basically your NCERTs, and a constant read or a continuous read of or you can say of articles on Indian society in your newspaper or magazine, whatever you are following. That is very, very important. Once you have that clarity, it will become very easy to write good answers on any question on Indian society. So with this, I am signing off, and we will be meeting in our next discussion. Till then, take care. Thank you.